Hello, welcome to another Becoming a Modern Man. We're playing a new deck here. It's a white-red Genesis Chamber deck. It's a sort of a cross between Soul Sisters and its own sort of little combo with Genesis Chamber and Norrin the Wary, as well as Perforos. So you've got lots of creatures coming in and out of play and making a lot of tokens with the Genesis Chamber. So this is the deck list. Hopefully we'll get to see some of these cards in action. You also got Mentor of the Meek to draw some cards as well off your Genesis Chamber and Norrin the Wary coming in and out of play. So yeah, let's get on to the first game. So we've got a matchup against Red Green Tron. We win the roll and let's get underway. So this is our opener. We've got a champion, a Soul Warden, a Soul's Attendant and a Genesis Chamber. Decent hand. Oh, also, you know, I added Arid Mesa to the deck. It wasn't in the original deck list that was being played, but I figured I have them, so I might as well play them. Also, thins our deck of land, which seems good. Have occasionally got a bit flooded in this deck. So yeah, our opponent's Red Green Tron, as I mentioned. Gonna lead off with a champion and be able to get 2+1/+1 counters on it off the double Soul Sisters. Also puts our champion out of Pyroclasm range, which is nice. And we'll get to attack for 5 here. And I'm going to drop the Genesis Chamber. Fortunately no creatures to get an activation off it. He plays Oblivion Stone, which is not ideal, but he is a bit of a way off being able to crack it unless he can put Tron together. And we're gonna have to fingers crossed, keep our fingers crossed that he isn't able to do so. So we play another Soul Warden. It allows us to attack for 6. And plays a Chromatic Sphere into a Pyroclasm, which clears off our Soul Sisters, which is unfortunate. We are going to still attack for 4 here, put our opponent down to 2. So we're going to have to force our opponent to crack the Oblivion Stone. Unfortunately we've only got a champion to run out after that. Haven't found that 4th land to play the Ranger. Opponent Ancient Stirring to a Worm Coil and plays another Oblivion Stone. Fortunately we're able to win here in one of 2 ways. We can either just play the Ranger and get a +1/+1 counter on our champion, or we could have attacked the champion and then used Blasting Station, which is an interesting one to just deal with a final point of damage. I preferred Ranger, seeing as though it actually sets us up next turn if our opponent did have anything like, say, Dismember or something. So yeah, fortunately our opponent doesn't have any answer and it loses on turn 7 to our champion of the Parish attack, which is nice. So let's go on to game 2. In terms of sideboarding, I can't remember the exact cards I took, but Stony Silence is obviously very good. Suppression Field also very good against all their little Chromatic Spheres, and also things like Oblivion Stone, like we saw. I think I took out Perforos. He seems a little slow. Maybe some number of Lightning Bolts. That's not the best card. Could take out some Paths maybe. I like to keep a couple low just because Wormcoil Engine is a big issue, and Path is a really nice answer to that. Mentor of the Meek also seems a little bit slow. So yeah, there's a few options of cards that you might want to take out here. Blood Moon comes in as well, I forgot to mention, because it turns off the Tron lands, so that's a good card against this deck. So yeah, bringing in those, probably taking out some combination of Perforos, Mentor of the Meek, maybe some of the removal, possibly the Blasting Station as well. Yeah, I feel like those are the cards that probably go. So this is our opener. It's fairly decent. I like to see Blood Moon in our opening hand. We will need to draw a land to be able to play it, but seems like a decent keep. To an expedition map, we cavern into champion, naming human of course. Can play Soul Warden into Soul's Attendant again, so this is exactly the same play as we did last turn. It keeps our champion out of Pirate Plasm range. Opponent has natural Tron into Worm Coil. Watching we have a path, but I think this turn I want to just Blood Moon to avoid him playing some other big fatty, or such as a Khan, or maybe even another Worm Coil potentially. But Stirrings into another Tron land, which is fine by me. I'm going to take 6 here unfortunately, but we are going to pass next turn. Get to attacking for 5, so that somewhat neutralises the life gain that he got there, but still not an ideal situation. Pass Tron, but gets a forest. Has Oblivion Stone, which is what we were kind of worried about. Yeah, it's pretty bad news for us. It's going to wipe out our team and the Blood Moon, and give him his Tron lands back online, which gives him a lot of mana. So things are not looking the best for us. Just keep my cards in hand. I don't want to play them into the stone that he's going to crack. So he cracks the Oblivion Stone. We've got a Soul Warden and a Legion Loyalist. Actually didn't find the 4th land for a Ranger. And Khans, +4s, drops Worm Coil, and that'll do it. Not going to be easy to answer that Worm Coil, and I don't really see us winning. Our opponent's on 13, so I just can't see a way of winning through this situation really. So we can see that there. So let's go on to game 3. This is our opener. It's not the best, but it does have Stony Silence, which is a card I really like against Tron. Bit of a risky keep I suppose, just because we don't have a lot of early aggression and he does have some ways potentially to answer Stony Silence, such as artifact removal. So we lead off with Mesa. Opponent plays Chromatic Star, which is something we like to see, because we're going to go for the turn 2 Stony Silence, and that's going to neutralise that very well. We'll play that expedition map and a Chromatic Sphere, so we going pretty nicely there with the Stony Silence. And also we draw Soul Warden, which works nicely, as we're going to be able to Genesis Chamber and then play the Soul Warden to make a Mirror straight off the bat. We draw Norin the Wary, which again, great top deck for us. It means we're going to be able to make a load of Mirror tokens and gain a bit of life in the process. Not that life is particularly important against Red Green Tron. I mess up there because I actually wanted to bolt my opponent before the end of his second main phase, so I could blink out Norin and get him back, give me another Mirror to attack with. I think I make the play next time around, but I missed it there and I intended to do it. So back 4 here. Norin blinks out, comes back, gains his life, makes another token. Could have played the Ranger there, but I felt like we were in sufficient control, but I didn't feel like we needed to actually drop the Ranger. If he has some way of wiping the board, I think maybe we're better off playing Ranger post board wipe. But I think we're in pretty good control of the game here. So, going to be able to attack for 6 here. Exiling Norin. And we draw Perforos, which is really nice here. So, put our friend down to 5. Drop in Perforos, who's going to deal 4 damage to our opponent when Norin comes back, and then a Mirror is made, which deals the other 2 damage. So, put our opponent down to 1. Pretty difficult for him to get out of this situation. He does have a Nature's Claim for the Stony Silence, so like I said, he does have answers to Stony Silence in the deck, at least post sideboard, but it's not going to be good enough. It's going to be able to Pyroclasm away my guys, but Norin's still going to come back end of turn. He Ancient Ceramics gets a Worm Coil, which he can't actually cast, and yeah, either way he's dead end of turn. As Norin's going to come back in, Perforos is going to deal 2 damage to him, and he will die. So yeah, pretty tight game, but managed to win through, and yeah, went pretty well. Quite like this matchup. Our deck's not the fastest, but obviously it does have the potential to do some pretty crazy stuff. Makes a lot of permanents, etc. And I managed to win us through here.